So this lecture is going to go over how to complete unit conversions and also a reminder about significant figures. So the goals are to learn how to use dimensional analysis to convert between units, and to solve some more complicated problems using your units, and to report these to the correct number of sig figs. So again, this ties into our theme of the course of scientific measurement and their uncertainty, and how that affects our understanding of the world around us. So whether we realize it or not, we perform unit conversions every day. Whether we're driving down the road and are converting our speed limits, whether we are mentally calculating how many gallons we have left in a gas tank and therefore how many more miles we can drive, or whether we are looking at weights and prices of things in the grocery store to calculate how much we can buy. This is done all of the time. So one of the things that goes with our unit conversions and reporting of values is we have to think about the use of the appropriate unit. And to give a little perspective on this, the average US male is reported to be 1.76 meters tall. We can also look at the diameter of a hydrogen atom, which has been given at 1.2 times 10 to the negative 10th meters. And if we were to drive from Keene, New Hampshire to Seattle, that would be a distance of 4,855,000 meters. Now, there's a question here of, are these the appropriate units to use in all of these cases? While meter might be the official unit of length, it may be more appropriate to use a prefix system, so we don't have to worry about the 10 to the minus 10th, or go into the million spot on our meters here. And so what we mean by that is looking at prefixes for our SI units. And our prefix is really just a shorthand for writing large numbers or big numbers. And again, we use this all the time, whether we're talking about kilometers or a kilogram, right? That's using the prefix kilo, right? And that means there is, whenever you look at this table, we can see our prefixes and we can see the numerical representation. And if we want to write as an exponential notation, we can see that here. And so when we look at this table, we would say that one of this prefix is equal to this number of the thing. So for example, if we look at this table and we take the kilometer or the kilo prefix, the way we would read the table is, would say 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. So one of these is equal to this many of the base unit. These highlighted in blue are the base units we will use the most of in general chemistry this semester, so these are the ones we should be somewhat familiar with. I would always supply tables like this on quizzes or exams. If we go back to our 3 examples here, we can see 1.76 meters for the height. That seems like an appropriate unit. But if we're talking about diameter of a hydrogen atom, it may be more appropriate, instead of using meters, to talk about this in terms of picometers. So this is also 120 picometers. This distance from New Hampshire to Seattle, we might better write as 4,855 kilometers. Might be a better, more appropriate way to write that rather than the 4 million plus meters. All right, so the other thing we need to be able to do is convert between units with different prefixes and different units overall. And so I wanted to go through a couple examples of how we could do this. And so we'll start with this problem. We just saw the answer on the previous slide, but let's go through how we'd actually solve it. So the question's asking, we want to convert the diameter of a hydrogen atom from meters, 1.2 times 10 to the negative 10th meters, into picometers. All right, so when we go about doing this, I'm going to switch over. Here's the same problem written out. And we're going to start off, and the first thing we're going to have to do is look up our unit conversion. And what we can see from this is that from our table, we can write down our conversion. 1 picometer is equal to 1 times 10 to the negative 12th meters. So this is our conversion, our equality, and so I like to sometimes sort of box that in for us. When we go ahead to solve this problem, we're always going to start with the number that's given. So we are given 1.20 times 10 to the negative 10th meters, and then we're going to put that in parentheses, and we're always going to multiply by a unit conversion. So in parentheses here, this is our unit conversion. So this is often what we look up from some place. So we look up our unit conversion, and the way we're always going to set this up is we want our units to cross out. So we have meters here, so we want to put our meters on the bottom, and we want to go to picometers, where the question is asking us to go into picometers, right? So we're converting into picometers, so I'm going to put picometers on the top, and then we're just going to put the numbers in. So 1 times 10 to the negative 12th meters to 1 picometer. We can see when we do this, our units, meters, will cross out, and so now it's just plugging it in to the calculator. When we do this, I got 120 picometers, and so there is my answer for our first unit conversion. Okay, so let's try another one, and for this one we're going to look at we can look at my weight, and my weight is 170 pounds, and let's say we wanted to express that into milligrams for some reason. So here again, we're starting in pounds, we want to go to milligrams. So the first thing we're going to have to do is look up some information, and we're going to need a conversion, and I might not get the conversion I want directly. So in this case, I can look up conversions and say 2.2 pounds is equal to 1 kilogram. Oops. I can also look up 1 pound is equal to 454 grams, and 1 gram is equal to 1,000 milligrams. So sometimes we need to look up the information, and in this case, what we hopefully can see is the two unit conversions we're going to use are the pounds to grams and the grams to milligrams. So we're going to start off again with the number that's given, 170 pounds. And we first need to go pounds to grams, and so I want pounds to cross off, so I'm going to put the pounds on the bottom, and that was 1 pound, grams up top, 454 grams. And we can either calculate this now, or we could add a second step to this and directly now go from pounds. We can look at this and say our pounds have crossed off, but we can see we're still in grams if we were to stop here. So we want our grams to go away. So we can do a second conversion with grams on the bottom, milligrams on the top. This will cross out our grams, and we'd be left with milligrams. So now it's a matter of putting in our numbers, and we can see from our conversion up here, 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams, and now we can plug it into the calculator. And when we do this, we get 7.7 times 10 to the 7th milligrams. So perhaps not the most useful unit to express my weight, but that is the process of how we'd go through it. So let's try one more, and in this case what we're looking at is the fuel economy. So we can see the question, the 2016 Toyota Prius has a fuel economy of 58 miles per gallon. What is this rating in kilometers per liter? So this is a little bit more complicated than the first couple we looked at. And so again, I'm going to write out what we know. We know the fuel economy is 58 8 miles. And I'm going to write that per gallons as a fraction, miles per gallon. And we want to take that and be able to express it in kilometers per liter. And if we think about this, we have two conversions that we have to undertake. We first have to take the miles and convert them to kilometers. And then we're going to take the gallons and convert that to liters. So we can do this in 2 steps, or we can do it in 1 step, but either way we're going to have to look some things up. So we can go look up online or on equation sheets and see that 1 mile is equal to 1.609 kilometers. And we can see that 1 gallon is equal to 3.79 liters. So those are our unit conversions. And so now we can start and say 58 miles per gallon. And it doesn't matter which unit we go first. I'm going to get rid of the gallons first, just because that's what we haven't seen before. Notice in this case, if we're going to get rid of gallons, gallons are on the bottom of our fraction. So if that's the case, then we're going to want our gallons to cross out to be on the opposite side. So I'm going to put those on the top, and I'm going to put our liters on the bottom. So that was 1 gallon to 3.79 liters. And again, make sure we set this up right. We can cross out our units. So gallons on the bottom, gallons on the top. Those would cross off. And now we can go ahead and we want to get miles to kilometers. So this is like what we've done before. Miles on the bottom, kilometers on top. And we can look up the numbers. That was 1 mile to 1.609 kilometers. And we can look that up and put that in our calculator, and I got 24.6 kilometers per hour, or per liter. And then watching our sig figs, we are given 2 sig figs here, so I'm going to go ahead and round that up to 25 kilometers per liter as our final answer. Thank you.